Hospitals teach you to whisper, to measure time by the rhythm of machines, to learn that a day can be both endless and too short. The night my mother slipped in and out of sleep, I held a foam cup of coffee like a lighthouse in my hands. I was 24, broke, and tired in a way sleep never fixed. I didn't know how to be strong. I only knew how to be present. She opened her eyes, squeezed my fingers, and said the last sentence I'd ever hear her say, "Show up, tell the truth, do it scared." We grew up in a one-bedroom apartment off a busy road just outside Columbus, Ohio. The kind with thin walls and a door that stuck when it rained. Mom worked the evening shift at the hospital and cleaned offices on weekends. She didn't talk much about dreams. She talked about rent due on the 1st and keep the lights on, and I made spaghetti, eat before it gets cold. I was the kid who colored outside the lines and apologized for it. The student who saw test questions and heard a siren in my head. After high school, I bounced warehouse, delivery driver, stockroom. I told myself I would figure it out next month. The same way people say they'll start going to the gym next Monday. The truth. Fear was running my life, and I was letting it. When Mom's cough turned into scans and the scans turned into a word you can't reason with, the world compressed to a hospital room with a window that barely opened. I sat in plastic chairs and read pamphlets I didn't understand and wished for the kind of miracle you only see in movies. I watched her hands shake when she tried to lift a cup of water. I saw the way nurses could turn a quiet room into safety just by stepping inside. On the late nights, she'd ask me about my day, and I'd list small tasks like they were victories. Loaded 2 trucks, clocked out on time. "You're reliable," she'd say. Reliable is a kind of brave. I didn't feel brave. I felt stuck. I had a savings account with $138, a car that coughed louder than Mom's lungs, and a phone full of reminders I snoozed like it was a sport. "Show up, tell the truth, do it scared." She said it quietly, but it cut through everything. It was who she had been, through every shift, every overtime. Every night she dragged a mop across a hallway, humming songs from the radio. Show up, even when it's inconvenient. Tell the truth, especially when it's hard. Do it scared, because courage isn't a lack of fear. It's a decision. She smiled a little, the way she did when she hid pain from me. "You already know what to do, baby," she whispered. "You just keep making it bigger in your head than it really is." I nodded. I wanted to promise the whole world. All I could manage was, okay. I think she knew that okay meant everything. Loss isn't just sorrow. It's paperwork, casseroles, and people who don't know where to put their hands. It's the echo of a voice you reach for in the cereal aisle. It's waking up at 3:17 a.m. to an apartment so quiet you can hear your own heartbeat and wondering if it's supposed to feel like this forever. 3 weeks later, I found a sticky note folded into a corner of her old lunchbox. 3 lines in her careful print. "Show up, tell the truth, do it scared." I put it on my bathroom mirror. I didn't know how to rebuild a life, but I could try to obey a sentence. Day 1, show up. I set an alarm for 6 a.m. I didn't give myself time to negotiate. I put my shoes by the door the night before like a breadcrumb trail. I walked around the block in the cold until my eyes stopped burning. On the way back, I made coffee and wrote for 10 minutes about the kind of person I wanted to be. Felt ridiculous. Felt small. Felt like a door unlocked somewhere inside my chest. Day 3, tell the truth. I told my manager I wanted more responsibility. I didn't frame it as a complaint. I said, "I can do more. Give me one thing this week I can own." He looked surprised. Then he handed me the chaos we all avoided, route scheduling. Day 7, do it scared. I researched EMT programs. Why? Because the nights in the hospital had left me with a quiet ache I didn't know how to explain. Because I had watched those nurses and techs and paramedics walk in and pull a person back from the edge with steady hands. Because I wanted to be the kind of person who runs toward alarms, not away from them. I told myself I'd just gather information. That was the lie fear likes best. Just research. Just think. The application link glowed like a dare. I filled it out with my heart hammering and my palms wet, then hit submit and whispered "Mom" to the empty room. Day 12. I made a list on a cheap whiteboard. 20-minute walk, non-negotiable. 10 pages, non-negotiable. A one brave ask, non-negotiable. Bed by 11 o'clock, we'll see. I kept the streak alive by protecting it like it was oxygen. No heroics. No new me speeches on social media. Just check marks that felt like handholds on a climb. Day 20. I started volunteering on Saturdays at a community clinic. Wiping down chairs, fetching blankets, handing out forms to people who looked exactly how I had felt. Tired, scared, out of options. Day 35. The EMT program accepted me. Tuition wasn't a magical number I could absorb, but there were grants. There were scholarships for people from neighborhoods like mine. There was, surprisingly, a fund at the hospital where Mom had worked. A scholarship in memory of a nurse who'd done her rounds with a smile you could hear. I wrote an essay about mops and midnight, about showing up and telling the truth. They awarded me half. I cried in a grocery store aisle between canned beans and dish soap. Day 60. Studying at my kitchen table felt like trying to drink from a fire hose. I wasn't naturally gifted. I built a system. Flashcards on the wall, practice questions at lunch, 20 minutes of review before bed when my brain wanted to scroll. Do it scared became the rhythm in my head when imposter syndrome tried to take the mic. Day 90. My manager asked me to present the new route plan. I wanted to hide in the stockroom. Instead, I printed 2 maps and rehearsed what Mom would say if she were there. Tell the truth. I kept it simple. This is where we're losing time. This is how we fix it. Give me 2 weeks. They did. We hit our targets. I didn't become a legend overnight. I became trustworthy. The first real call that mattered happened on a gray Monday. A man collapsed in a parking lot 2 blocks from my apartment. I wasn't on duty. I was walking home from a shift, backpack heavy with textbooks. People were circling, unsure. I could hear sirens far away and panic right here. I knelt. I remembered the steps we practiced until our hands ached. I introduced myself. I did the math with my fingers and counted compressions out loud. A woman nearby cried. A stranger called 911 again and asked why they weren't here yet. Time did that strange thing where it both sped and stalled. When the paramedics arrived, they moved like a single body. One of them glanced at me while they took over. "Nice work," he said. 3 words, but it felt like someone had opened a window in a room I thought was sealed. That night, I stood in my tiny kitchen and stared at the sticky note. I had shown up. I had told the truth to the moment to myself. I had done it scared. And a man somewhere, I hoped, was breathing because of it. The program wasn't easy. I failed a practice exam, then passed the real one by a margin that made my heart jump. I learned to respect what fear was telling me. Pay attention without letting it drive the car. On the day I pinned my badge to my shirt, I stood in the hospital lobby under a skylight and whispered, "We did it," to the air. The people around me changed because I did. A funny thing happens when you start living like your life matters. Other people start treating it like it does. My manager offered me a flexible schedule. An old friend texted and asked how I'd stopped hitting snooze. I sent a photo of the shoes by the door. A teenager at the clinic asked if I ever got scared. "Every time," I said. "I just don't negotiate with fear anymore. I give it a job. Stand there and watch me." I went back to the hospital wing where Mom used to mop floors on Sundays. I left a note at the nurse's station. "For the one who needs it today, show up, tell the truth, do it scared." From someone who learned this here. A nurse taped it near the clock-in computer. Weeks later, I saw the corners soft from fingers. Felt like Mom had found a way to keep doing rounds. Progress didn't look like fireworks. It looked like a set of keys that opened the door to a new apartment where the rent didn't crush me. It looked like a savings account with a number I checked twice because it felt unreal. It looked like cooking on Sundays and packing leftovers and remembering to call my aunt back. And it looked like failure, too. I missed a workout. I snapped at a coworker and apologized with my head down. I bombed a scenario exam and went home to a wall of flashcards and the taste of humble pie. But a bad day stopped being proof that I was broken. It became evidence that I was human and still in the fight. On the first anniversary of Mom's last sentence, I wrote her a letter I didn't have a mailbox for. I want to tell you about a man in a parking lot, about a girl who stopped crying when I handed her a blanket, about the way my hands don't shake now until it's safe to let them. I want to tell you about my whiteboard checkmarks and the way sunshine looks on the floor of a place I pay for with money I earned telling the truth. I want to tell you your sentence worked. It's working still. If you've read this far, maybe you're standing where I stood between who you were and who you're afraid to become. Here's how I started and how you can start today. 1. Show up before you're ready. Put your shoes by the door. Set the alarm. Decide the night before. Do 5 minutes of the thing, walk, read, email, apply. Small starts are honest starts. 2. Tell the truth, especially to yourself. Write 1 page about what you want and what you're doing instead. Name the gap without judgment. Then circle 1 behavior that closes it by 1 inch. 3. Do it scared. Fear is a signal, not a stop sign. Pick a brave ask every day. Request feedback, apply for the program, introduce yourself, speak up in the meeting, book the appointment you've dodged. Keep a log. Fear shrinks under a pen. 4. Protect the streak, not the ego. Miss a day? Don't miss 2. Put an X on a calendar for every day you showed up. Let the chain pull you forward. 5. Build a room you want to return to. Your environment is stronger than your willpower. Clear your desk. Put the book on your pillow. Leave the guitar on a stand, not in a case. Make doing the right thing the easiest thing. You don't need a new personality. You need a new pattern. 3 lines. 1 life. Show up. Tell the truth. Do it scared. What's the 1 scared but right action you can take today? Write it down. Then go do it. And if you need someone to witness your start, drop it in the comments. I read every one, quietly, like a person in a hospital, listening for the sound that means a life is beginning again. If this helped, subscribe and turn on notifications for a new motivation story every day. Share this with someone who needs the reminder. Show up. Tell the truth. Do it scared.